Good evening and welcome to Suffering in Silence with Pastor Tia here on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. Every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Love Bay family, we are continuing to rise out of the ashes together. Our topic on this evening is healing for purpose. So we have with us Erin Mitchell, who we know is our holistic health coach. And we have with us Reverend Dr. Marie McDonald, who is also the host of Marriage Hour, which is also here on Love Bay. So, listeners, if you have any questions for myself, for Erin, or for our guest this evening, you can email us at sufferinginsilencedv@gmail.com. You can also text us at 437-778-3299, or from whichever platform you're watching us, you can go into the chat and send us any questions or comments you have that way as well. If you have any resources that you would like to share with us on a national or local level from your country, your faith community, any local organizations, you can contact us the same way. Email sufferinginsilencedv@gmail.com. And with that, Erin, I would ask if you would greet our listeners and viewers on tonight.
Yes. Hey, everybody from tuning in from all over the world. And I am so excited to be on Suffering in Silence tonight. And I am on Tia's board for Rise Out of the Ashes. And we really support people in transition out of immediate situations that require resources that really sometimes we don't even think about. Things as simple as toothbrush, change of clothes, to, doctor's visits or school supplies for children, things like that. So I'm just really honored to be a part of this program and to hear, from Dr. Marie tonight, Reverend Marie McDonald, and hear her amazing wisdom that she's going to share with us. And also just a little bit about me. I'm 49. I live in Tucson, Arizona. I have a master's degree in Chinese medicine and in herbal medicine and also acupuncture. I've been a practitioner for many years, and I've now gone into holistic health coaching to just support people post-COVID, online, and that work has worked out well for me. And then I also run in-person retreats for people on their healing journeys to kind of give them a place where they get full attention for 3 or 4 days, and they really can use it as a starting point for a change in their life. And that's been an amazing part of my own healing journey, but what I bring to the world right now. So great to be with all of you. It's such a pleasure.
Awesome, Erin. Thank you so much. And with that, Dr. Marie, if you would also greet our listeners and viewers on tonight.
Pleasant good evening. I am Marie McDonald, and it's such a pleasure to be on the program with you today, Pastor Tia, and to talk about our topic, Healing for Purpose. I'm also host for the Relationship and Marriage Hour that is held on Sunday afternoons at 3 p.m. So it is always fun to be here with the audience. And, I'm looking forward to a great show for this afternoon. So I think that's it, because I believe I'm known somewhere.
Thank you so much. So we want to start with sharing some resources. And as Erin mentioned, our nonprofit Rise Out of the Ashes, Inc. and some of the things that we do. If you would like to support us, you can go to GoFundMe and look for our page, which is Rise Out of the Ashes, Inc. You can give that way, or you can write a check to Rise Out of the Ashes, Inc. Our address is P.O. Box 15. We are in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, 19026. And I want to share again the Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence. Their website is acesdv.org. Their phone number is 602-279-2980, or you can also dial 1-800-782-6400. We have the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services National Helpline. Their number is 800-662-4357. In the United States, we have the National Domestic Violence Hotline. The national website is thehotline.org, and the phone number is 1-800-799-7233. And then we have the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Their phone number is 800-656-4673. The website is rainn.org, RAINN.org. If you want to chat online, you can visit online.rainn.org. And when we're talking about reaching resources, I really want to stress again, no matter where you are, you can start by looking for the national resource of the country that you are in. So if you're in Canada, if you're in Europe, Australia, China, wherever you are, look for the national domestic violence agency, and they will be able to direct you to local agencies closer to where you live. No matter which agency you reach out to, you should receive services. You should receive help from the agency that you reach out to. And if they cannot help you for some reason, they should at least direct you to the place where you can get assistance. I've dealt with this in this past week with individuals reaching out to places which are not where they live, and that is absolutely fine. So if you are in Delaware County, you can reach out to Laurel House, which is in Montgomery County, and they will help you. If you're in Philadelphia and you reach out to DAP DC in Delaware County, they will help you. They will direct you. And I will say, keep searching for what you need until you find it. No matter where it is, what you have to do, the numbers you have to call, the places that you need to visit. Keep searching until you get what you need. And I will say this because in the past couple of weeks, I ran into this issue as well with individuals needing help. They were actually getting help from a different county in which they lived. And there were some specific things that they wanted to change and wanted to be different. And to that, I say, if you are receiving help, it's like you can only get what they offer and where they are. So how do I say, you can't like, there are just some things that you have to work within the system of where you are. So if you're in Philadelphia and you're in getting resources from Delaware County and you need to be placed, if they're placing you in a temporary shelter, if they're helping with that, it's going to be they can't disclose the location, but I guarantee you're not going to be able to pick where you want to go. It doesn't work like that. So you have to have some understanding with that, with the resources that you get. So I wanted to say that because I had to actually calm some people down because they wanted what was not available. And it was through no fault of the agency, but they can only do what they can do where they are. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that's understandable. But please, if you need help, then you keep reaching out to get what you need where you are. So again, our topic on tonight is healing for purpose. And I was really looking forward to this conversation. And the first thing that I really, really want to say is that you do not have to hurt to have a purpose. So I did not want to be misleading in that thought. You know what I mean? I don't want anybody to think in order for you to have some goals, in order for you to get to the next step, in order for you to accomplish whatever desires that you have to hurt or that you have to be in a bad situation before that comes about. So I wanted to throw that out there first. And I want to also acknowledge that some people they know their purpose. They start out in their purpose. They work in their purpose. They're operating in their purpose, and they may lose sight of it, or their purpose may be interrupted because of abuse or because of harm. So it may be something that's already there, and for whatever reason, it was disturbed. But I really want to be encouraging to say that you can discover or rediscover your purpose, after you've healed. I really believe that healing is a huge, huge part of being successful in your purpose if you have experienced harm or abuse in
You
any
know,
way. And so, Dr. Maria, I want to start with you, and I want to ask you, and Erin, I'll ask you the same thing. How important do you believe? How important is it to heal before you search for and operate in your purpose? How important is the healing process if you have been harmed?
Pastor Tia, the healing indeed is, it's necessary before we can even begin to pursue our purposes in in life, because how can I really he function properly in my purpose if I'm hurting? So for me, I see that it's paramount to your well-being. And of course, we have Erin here, who deals with wellness. If we are not addressing the pain, the hurt, then we cannot function as well as we should. We will not be able to maximize who we are, because of what's going on. And sometimes people feel that if I run after my purpose, I'll deal with the pain later.
Yeah.
But it cannot work well that way. And I always tell people, heal yourself first. Make sure you deal with what's the ailment in you, whatever is the problem in you. Deal with that, and then let's look at everything else. Matter of fact, I was just talking to someone about it this afternoon, you know, and she's going through, hurt and so forth. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
So Erin, I want to ask you the same question, but just but before we move on to you, Erin, I think what you said, Dr. Marie, is very important, and I think sometimes we can take a good thing or put a good thing in front of us, and we want to, as you said, run after our purpose and not deal with the pain. And I think we try to reach for uh, what makes us feel good or what we think can help somebody else because we really don't want to deal with the pain, because we
Mhm.
don't want to deal with what happened. We don't want to deal with who caused it to happen. We don't want to deal with the part that I played in, maybe, if whatever has happened. So I think sometimes when we talk about purpose, it's really nothing more than an excuse not to deal with the pain. So it's
Mhm.
not always a good thing when we say, "Hey, I now I have this plan that I put together, and it's a great thing, and I'm going to get some things done." That's not always a good thing. Not when you're using it to avoid the issue. Not when you're
Yeah,
using it to really avoid the pain and not dealing with your own pain. As you said, you can end up hurting other people when you're trying to help them.
exactly.
If you are not where you need to be, you can
Mhm.
try your very, very best and you can have the greatest of intentions, but you can end up hurting other people because you haven't properly dealt with um,
Yep.
yourself. So
That's
then
right.
that you don't want to be responsible for causing injury mentally or emotionally to others.
Hmm.
So Dr. Marie, you want to add to that before we go to Erin?
Yeah. No, that is so true, because hurt people will always hurt other people, and sometimes it's not directly intentional, but it's because of what's going on in you. Now you're trying to find an outlet so you can also just
Yeah.
let it all on somebody else. So it's
Yes.
just
So Erin.
that way.
Yes. Hurt people, hurt people. Oh my gosh. That's one of my favorite
Hmm.
reminders. Actually, I use it more whenever I get hurt by somebody, because then it reminds me to have some compassion that they're
Hmm.
probably being
Yeah.
hurtful because they're dealing with something or not dealing with something.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I I really appreciate what you both are saying. I also, for my experience in my own life, I got into the healing field unconsciously in a way, because I wasn't aware of my, the things I had to deal with, but I had this desire to want to support people on their own journeys. And then through that process was able to have recognized some things that I needed to face, and so my, I would say, purpose in that time, it was almost like it led me to a purpose, my pain, but it also kind of led me out of being able to do that until I faced some of the things that I needed to face. And so I do think our lives aren't simple, and sometimes there's kind of this, like the DNA strand, it's like they're weaving in and out of our purpose, and then healing and purpose and healing. And one of the things that right now I'm really wanting to embrace is that learning to love myself without judgment, without without the lens of being self-critical and things like that. I feel like that is more my purpose than even what I'm doing for a living, or to do that so that I can be more loving to others. So I think too, for everyone, it's defining what is that purpose. I mean, people from, and our ancestors going back, sometimes their purpose was, to just be in community, and to be of service, and in whatever skill sets they had, or whatever was needed. And so now I think, I think purpose can feel very full of pressure sometimes, and full of like, oh, I have to go to school and get this thing, and I think what kind of coming back to what you were saying, Pastor Tia, get off track, right? Like, wait a minute, I'm distracting myself from looking inside or looking into what I need to do. So yeah, that's
so actually what you were saying actually moves into the next point that I wanted to make, is that purpose is purpose, even if it's on a small, quiet, personal scale. Because purpose does not always mean that you're going to be on a huge platform in front of people, leading people. It doesn't always mean that you're going to be teaching a group, or that you're going to be organizing a group. Sometimes your purpose may be, I'm taking care of myself and I'm taking care of my family. Your purpose may be rounding up the kids on the block, making sure they have something to do in the summer. It may be something that that does not have notoriety, that your name may not be known, maybe not nationally, but everybody in your community may know who you are. They may know, that's Auntie down the street. Like, we can go to her. They may know that, that's Uncle whoever or Mr. whoever, like the block captain. If we need something, we can go there. We can get help with sports. We can get help with education if you need tutoring. So I think sometimes when we think of purpose, we think it has to be something that's on a grand scale. And like, if everybody isn't hollering your name, then we feel less than, because we've then compared our purpose to somebody else. Well, you may never be a celebrity. You may never be famous. That doesn't mean that you're not important. It doesn't mean, and I really believe that some of the most important people are ones who you'll never know their name. you'll never see them publicly because they are behind the scenes helping the ones who are out there publicly. And no matter who you are, everybody needs help. I don't care what you do, what lane you're in, everybody needs some kind of help. And I think it takes a healthy person, it takes a mature person to be in the back and know, you know what, my purpose is not to be the king or be the queen, but I can create one, I can help one, I can coach one. So I think what you said was beautiful. You know, your purpose may be just making sure that you are okay, making sure that you are mentally and emotionally stable. And that is huge. That is a great thing. That's a beautiful thing. That's a wonderful thing. And I believe that we don't put enough emphasis on, you know what? I took care of myself today. I was kind to myself. I made it through work, accomplish whatever projects, or even if I didn't complete it, I got through the day and I'm all right. We don't pat ourselves enough on the back. I think there's too much emphasis on, I want to be known. I want to be up front. Oh my goodness. And Dr. Maria, especially in ministry, like I just need people throwing money at me because I just said whatever. And you want to be the one up front taking this offer. No, that's not what real purpose is. And before you can go and encourage and help anybody else, I still say again, you have to be good. You have to encourage yourself. You have to take care of yourself. So Dr. Marie, what are your thoughts on purpose? You know, maybe it's not on that grand national or international scale, but purpose is still purpose and it's still important. What is your view on that?
In respect to with the purpose, there are times when we feel that we can, have been hurt. As a result of that, I don't want to do anything. I want to sit back and just, or I'm hurting, so I'm not. It doesn't matter what is happening to anyone else. But in our pain, we can help others because I believe the pain that we endure at times, Pastor Tia, it's not always for us. Sometimes we go through pain and it's to be able to help someone else that is going through. I've heard a young lady talk about her experience of thinking about suicide, right? And we know that right now that's rampant out there among our young people. But what she came to realize after the fact is that the way she felt, if this is any indication what's happening to our young people, it's not a good thing. So she could have now worked from her pain where she felt the need to commit suicide and now began to help those that are going through. So your pain can lead you to your purpose, but it depends on what type of pain or maybe nothing. What type of pain you're going through, it can help you to help somebody else. And you can find your purpose as a result of what you've gone through.
Yes. And I think in that example that you gave, I don't believe that as an individual running away from their pain. I really believe that you can help while you're hurting, but that's different than completely ignoring your issues and not trying to deal with them at all. I think I do believe that you can work on yourself and you can work through issues without hurting other people. If you're honest about it with yourself, first of all, and you're not trying to run away from it. So I believe in the example that you gave, that's someone who is helping and dealing with themselves at the same time.
Right.
And even with that, another thought that I had is that your purpose may have nothing to do with your issue. Your purpose may have nothing to do with your trauma or your experience. And as an example for that, Muriel Tainfield, she is the author of Broken and Battered, A Way Out for the Abused Woman. She has a heart for battered women, but she started out as the founder of several Alcoholics Victorious groups. So her issue was with alcohol, but she came through that and ended up helping women who are dealing with domestic violence. So you have one type of trauma that she did help in, but she was able to cross over into a different area and help individuals that way. So I wanted to make that point as well. An area that I may be hurt in, that may not be the area that I help in, and that's absolutely okay. It is, Dr.
Yeah.
Marie.
It is so, and I'm smiling because she mentioned the very thread that makes up that tapestry, and they are so beautifully woven. Whereas your pain, you said she had an alcoholism problem, but she was woven right into the area where her purpose lies. So it's a beautiful process that our steps are ordered by the Lord, so He
Yes,
can lead us in the right direction. So it's beautiful to see how we can evolve out of a situation
yes.
and still arrive at our destiny. I love it.
Absolutely. And it's not, I think you have, I mean, life is life. Like you have bumps and bruises, you have stuff that we're dealing with and going through. And I don't think that because you may have had to change, or if your purpose was derailed, you had to stop and deal with issues. If you had to deal with domestic violence, deal with sexual assault, or if you're dealing with those issues now, it's not a strike on you. It doesn't mean that you failed. It
No.
doesn't mean that you've just blown up and you'll never have the opportunity to move forward and walk forward in your life the way that you believed, or that you won't have the opportunity to find what your purpose is and be able to accomplish your goals. So when things hit our life, it does not mean failure. I believe the only way that you can fail is to just completely just give up and not try.
That's right.
That's the only way that you can fail. But if
Yeah.
something hits your life and you keep trying, it may be hard, and some things may make your life harder. But that doesn't mean that you failed because, okay, now I have issues to deal with that maybe somebody else doesn't have to deal with, or I have issues to deal with that I just didn't expect, that I just did not know that this was going to come, my way. I didn't know I was going to be married at 20 and then divorced, almost 20 years later, because of dealing with domestic violence, no less. I didn't know that. But when you have things that interrupt your life, especially traumatic experiences, that does not mean failure. And
No.
I think you can, like, issues like this can hit you so hard and like just take the wind out of you.
Mhm.
Uh, that doesn't mean that you can't get up and go on. Now you may have to take your time and gather yourself, go through your process, actually go through healing, go through your counseling. And I think when we say healing, it can be really vague. But when I say healing, I mean, first of all, be honest.
Mhm.
You have to be real with yourself about whatever it is that has gone on, whatever it is that has happened, whatever it is that has hurt you. You have to decide within yourself that you're going to get whatever help you need, whatever that looks like for you. So it may be counseling. It may be that you just need to open up to your family and let them know, like, this is what it is. This is what has happened. It may be you need to relocate yourself, move yourself out of a particular area, move yourself away from some particular people. It may mean a new job for you. It may mean some kind of change in some kind of way. I
Mhm.
believe healing is change. And that change could be different for everybody, but that change should be moving you forward.
Yes.
So I know when we say healing, we can just throw that out. It can just be like a blanket,
Mhm.
but there are specific steps in healing that you can take.
That's
But you have to have strength enough to decide what that healing is for you. And even if you need help, it takes strength to decide. I need help. So someone can help me put together a safety plan. Someone can help me put together a life plan. Someone can help me to walk through and decide, all right, what does my next step look like? But I believe healing is change.
Mhm.
Um, and because you have to go through some changes like that, it that's not failure. That does not mean failure. Erin?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so many beautiful insights here. I was thinking as you were talking, and maybe a question for Dr. Marie, because you work with couples. I was wondering for both of you how you feel like if there's kind of a loss of purpose. I feel like that's rampant. It's like, people don't feel they know what it is. And I think that creates a vulnerability in a way. And so I guess I was wanting to see if you feel like that feeling a lack of purpose leads to kind of some of those situations that we get ourselves in that are traumatic, or that cause serious damage because we're not anchored in a purpose. Or have you seen that in your experience with your work?
Hmm. Well, if for some folks, perhaps you would see that being played out. I feel as though there is no hope. I don't know what I should be doing. So, in that case, yes, they may feel, vulnerable to that extent. But in most cases, there are persons who feel as though, like Tia was talking about the failure part, they feel they fail, and they see no need to pursue purpose,
Mm,
you know. And that can be really, disheartening to see a person really giving up in that regard. Um,
mhm,
then there are the ones who believe that this is happening, but I can make it. It's going to come through. May not be as easy, but I believe that I can do something about it.
mm,
And at the time, perhaps they don't know what is going to be done, but they still have that belief that something good can happen. So you're dealing with two different sides of the coin.
yeah.
But I always prefer to tell people whatever happens is not final. This
Mhm,
is, this is only this season. It may not be easy. It doesn't define you. So we have to find the strength, the courage to see beyond where we are. And if they can see beyond where they are, I'm sure that there will be a flicker of light at the end of the tunnel.
mm,
So I think for me, I experienced both of those scenarios. So for me, at first, I started off in a good place. I was good because I truly believed that I had what I needed. I had what I wanted. I believed that my relationship, my marriage was good. I was in school, moving forward. We got married. We had our family. I thought I was where I needed to be and wanted to be. I thought I was in my purpose. I thought my purpose was us walking through marriage ministry together. I thought our purpose was having a home for our children, building for our family. I thought we were working through towards all of these things. So I was in a good place. And then I saw that crumble in front of me. And then I felt lost after that. I felt like my purpose was just gone because I thought I knew like what I was supposed to be doing. I thought I knew what this was going to be like. And then it just blew up. And so there was a point where I was just crushed. I was devastated. And as I was moving through, like once I left, I was just defeated. Like I didn't have the energy to be talking about anybody's purpose for anything. Like I was just trying to survive. And so as I was going through, my process, which I want to stress, It doesn't feel good. It's not fun. It's hard work. But as I was going through, then I could see, okay, I do have a purpose. My life means something. It's not going to be what I thought it was. And I had to let go of that. I think it's okay to realize that your purpose may change, and it's okay if it does. I wanted my purpose to be what I wanted initially in the very beginning, but that was out of my hands. I can't control another person. A marriage is made up of two people, and if one of them is off, if they're abusive, if they're just abandon you emotionally, if they're uncaring, if they just they're careless with the finances, you can't control the partner that you have. And so his actions pretty much destroyed what I believed my purpose to be, what I wanted it to be. So I there was a moment where yes, I was absolutely just lost. And then I didn't care. I wasn't caring about trying to develop a purpose or have goals. It was like my goal today is to survive. My goal is not to die. That really just on a basic level, like that's what I was dealing with. And that to be able to move beyond that, it was like trying to have the strength to just move forward. And that's what the healing process is. Just to get yourself back, first of all, to be able to just to stand on your own feet, to stand mentally, to stand emotionally. And then, as I was going through, and healing for me looked like spending time with my counselors. It looked like dealing with myself, asking myself questions and coming up with those answers, spending time with me. As I was doing that, I wasn't thinking about what's my purpose now. I wasn't thinking about, what am I going to do 3 years from now, 5 years from now? I didn't have a plan like that. Eventually, I was able to start thinking that way, but that's because I had to go through the healing process. And the purpose that I have now is not what I wanted. Like this part of my purpose, my ministry, this is not what I wanted. This this is where God put me. So I'm doing what God told me to do. So in some kind of ways, as you deal with purpose, I can say for me, my pain did direct, my purpose, at least a huge part of my purpose, because my purpose is not just this. My purpose is not just dealing with being an advocate for victims and survivors of domestic violence. My purpose still is, caring for my family the way that my family is. Now, it's not how I wanted it to be, but caring for my family the way that it is, caring for myself, accomplishing my educational goals, moving forward. Now I can see what my purpose is and what I want it to be. And it changes, and it's okay. I believe you can accomplish one purpose and then move on to another one, or you can operate in several purposes at the same time. So Dr. Marie, so for instance, if you're married, you should have a purpose together as a married couple, but you're still individuals. So you should have some individual purposes as well.
That's
But
right.
whatever you're doing, you have to do it from a place of healing.
That's right. That is so true.
Yeah.
It's
So
beautiful.
I hope I answered the question.
Yes, it did. And it reminded me of like this, so important to remember this. We can always have a renewal of purpose. And, when we go through life changes and anything, your parents pass or your children move away, I think each of us, or we have a tragedy, or we're in a situation that requires immediate response, and not to be focused on what you're going to, like you said, what you're going to be doing in 3 or 4 years, but really, how can I get out of this alive and survive, and that immediacy of purpose just shifts. So I really love that spoke to that piece of it that I hadn't really thought of before.
Yeah. And then I think I can say too, So in that first instance where I was in that good place and I felt like I was lost, that was because of what another person did to me. That was my reaction of feeling that lost, feeling crushed, feeling that weight on me, that because of what was done to me. But I can honestly say, moving forward, that there was a lack of purpose within myself because I just I didn't have it. I didn't have the strength. I didn't have the energy to go forward. It was like I've had enough. I need a break. I need to just, like, let me just stay in this corner right here just so I can just breathe. So I know that there was a time where I made a conscious decision where I pulled myself away. I was like, I knew there were things that I could have been doing. I stepped out of ministry. Like, I told God, I said, you need somebody who can, who's in a better place than I am. I said, you don't want me. I'm like, I'm too hurt. I'm too like, I thought I was helping God. Because I just felt like I couldn't. So there was a moment where it wasn't about what was done to me. It was about a decision that I made. And today I can say I made that decision out of a place that wasn't healthy because I was still hurting so bad. I mean, you have to be in a place where you're just if you're going to tell God what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, that's not a healthy place.
Not a healthy place. Because I'm sure he knew what you were going through and he knew that you could come out of it. But we tend to want to stay right there a little longer and just sulk
Yeah, it was like, okay, it was again, and this is me personally, it was like, all right, it's easier for me to just sit here right now in this spot and just sulk, just be by myself, just let the world go by. It's like,
Yes.
this is easy right now compared to what I went through. But again, as I said, the healing process is hard. So in order for me to get to that next step, in order for me to come to my senses, in order for me to get to that place of strength and confidence, I had to push past all of that. And it wasn't easier. It was very, very easy to just sit and do nothing. Very easy.
Very, it seems as though the pain is actually the fuel to push you to where you should be going. So that pain drives you, and because we are creature of habit, pain is not one of those things that we want to hold on to. So when we feel the pain, it's like, okay, I give up, I stop. But if we are driven in the pain to move forward, and we may not be moving directly, as we've said before, into what is actually our purpose at the time, but the pain is driving you forward, and eventually you will find your way into the thing. When I was working, I thought banking was for me. I spent almost 30 years in banking, love it and everything. I thought that was for me. But when I came out of banking, I realized, what did I waste all those years for? I'm now doing what I love to do, and that's working and helping. So sometimes we feel we find our purpose until pain can push you in the right direction, or in a direction that's taking you closer to where you ought to be.
Yeah. And I can say that it was easier for me to help other people in my pain and out of my pain than it was for me to help myself.
Yeah.
It was like something just on the inside of me, just really, really, that compassion that I believe that there is a compassion that you can only feel when you have truly gone through something yourself.
Yes.
That
Yes.
compassion that was birthed in my heart drove me to want to help other people. Like, I do not want to see a mother suffer. I do not want to see a mother not be able to feed her children. I do not want to see a woman physically and mentally beat down. I don't want to see a man degraded in front of his children in such a way where he can't hold his head up. I had something inside of me that was like, I need to help them. Like I will go all out for them. But it took me a minute to be able to do that for myself. Cause like I just didn't have it. But if you show me another person, if I got a phone call, somebody said this has just happened to me, I need help, like I was on it. Like I was there. So my pain allowed me to be there and show up for other people. And then it was like eventually I caught up and I was able to put that same energy into myself.
That is so beautiful. And what I see too, is because you reach out and help others, you're also healing yourself.
Yes.
It
And
is so beautiful.
I think that's what I experienced. Being
Yes.
able to see someone come through, being able to see someone have what I didn't have, as a support or a listening ear, that helped me. It really did. It helped my heart so much. So I don't believe that any situation is wasted. I
No.
don't believe that any pain is just there and nothing will come from it. And that is not to say that you have to experience pain in order to have a purpose. Again, you don't have to experience pain to be in a healthy or blessed place. But something beautiful came out of my situation, and I'm appreciative of that. So much so to even be able to be here in this moment, and we're having this conversation that it's hopefully helping others. Um, and so, Erin, with that, I have a question for you. I wanted to ask you. So, when you think of holistic coaching, how does that translate mentally and emotionally for individuals going through their healing process? Because like a doctor can write out prescriptions and give you some practical things to follow, but when you use the word holistic, how does that translate into helping someone to heal and get through?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the way that we can say these words holistic, and I think like they can be as vague as the word healing, right? And you have to kind of be specific. But my approach is that I think ancient healing ways were always holistic, but we came into a time where we stopped listening to the grandmothers, we stopped listening to ourselves of what we know and trusting ourselves. And we only did what the doctor said. We only did that. And so I think holistic healing is remembering we have our spirit to tend to, we have our mind to tend to, we have our emotions to tend to, and we have our physical health to tend to. And so that, and not to put ourselves in all these boxes, but to really begin to integrate our whole self in our healing journey. And so, yes, like typically we would understand mental health to go to a therapist or a licensed social worker or a psychiatrist, psychologist. But mental health you can get mentally healthy by exercise, right? Like that helps our mental health. It gets our blood flowing. It brings, it cools off frustration. It calms our nerves. So it's kind of working with ourselves in a way where everything is interconnected and everything is related, with you women working in as as reverends and pastors and leading people in the spirit realm and with God, how healing that can be to even to your emotions, right? You could be sad, depressed, and then have an inspired moment in that realm, and then that heals those emotions. So it's just really what I think is just, it's really all of us becoming more aware that we are these complex humans, and we have all these facets, and that they're not separate, because I think sometimes we think we can abuse our bodies, and that doesn't affect how we think, or we can talk to ourselves and be so self-critical and berating ourselves, and that's not going to have an effect on our body. So, it's really just coming into that understanding. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And I appreciate your words. And I want to, Dr. Marie, our last point I want to ask you about. I know that our title is Healing for Purpose, but we are not saying that you need to run through healing so you can find something to do. That's not what we intend. So, Dr. Maria, I would ask you to expound on a thought that you need to heal because you need to heal. Purpose will come.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose, it will be there. It will come, even if you do your research and if you put your time and effort into discovering what your purpose is, or if it just falls in your lap. Purpose will come when you do the work that you need to do for healing. But again, Dr. Marie, I would ask you to expound on that point, that you need to heal because you need to heal.
That's right. And that's a good point right there. Because first of all, we must take care of ourselves. God wants us to be healthy. He wants us to be happy. And if we are not healed, we are going against what He wants for us. So the first thing we need to do is heal ourselves, for ourselves. Before we can begin to think of purpose, we need to be well. And that is like going on an airplane and they're telling you, put on your mask first if you're traveling with a small child, and then help them. So you're not trying to heal because you want to help someone else. You're healing because you need to be well. You need to have a good mental capacity, because if you break down, then you can't help yourself, neither can you help anyone else. So our first order of business is to make sure we are healed. I want to add this point to that too, Pastor Tia. Usually when there are hurts in our lives, or if someone would have hurt us, we tend to want to come out of that hurt and to be back where we were before. And I think that's where struggle comes in, because we're trying to get to that place where I felt good. I was happy. And you're not going back there. Mm-hmm. So our best thing is adjust, stop. And I love what Erin said. Exercise, run, whatever it is, to get rid of some of the frustration, and then begin to think, how can I move from here and bring myself in a better position? Mm-hmm. But the struggle that we face most of the time is because we try to get back to point A, and pain brings progress. We should not be stuck at point A. We should now be at point B. How can we move forward from here and live better? We can do it, right? And I think that's where the struggle comes in.
And I think that is an amazing point, because trying to recreate the past, if you go back to the past, then you will be in the same scenario that got you to be where you are right now. So if you go back and try to do the things you did before, you're going to end up in the same place. It's the same people, same situation, same scenario. So you want the romance and the love that you had in the beginning. So you're going to do the things that you did. You're going to date and give each other gifts and spend so much time. Okay, what got you to be to where you are right now? Because part of that is not being honest about what was happening, about what was going on. So the only way that you can go back and do the same things that you did before is if you lie to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not honest and you're not seeing what happened and you're not willing to make changes, there's no way you're going to go back to the beginning and do it all over again and you expect to have a different outcome. If I'm not mistaken, that's the definition of crazy.
Crazy.
You're doing the same thing and you think you're going to get a different result.
That's right. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Does not work.
Yeah.
So, Erin, do you want to add to that?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, forward motion always. We have to stop and reflect and yeah, and move forward. I think that's really that any step forward is a healing step.
Yes.
So yes, I absolutely love that you shared that, Dr. Marie. Thank you.
So thank you, Erin. I think that was awesome. Any step forward is progress. Any step forward means something. So again, it doesn't have to be rockets bursting in the sky. You know, it could be, you know, you talk to your next door neighbor, or, you know, you bumped into somebody in the store and you had a conversation and it was really helpful to them. It was helpful to you in some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward is progress. Moving forward is healing. Moving forward, I would say, is purpose itself.
Yes.
Moving forward is purpose. So we are at the hour. Dr. Marie, I would ask that you would leave us with our final words on tonight, healing for purpose. And again, we do not intend to give the thought or idea that you go get healed so then you can do something.
Yeah.
No.
Not at all.
So, Dr. Marie, if you would leave us with our final words for Love Bay on tonight.
I would like to say to our audience, and my final word is this: it may be hard right now, but I tell you, you can make it. You can do it. The question now for you is, how can I do it? And then that's your work. You start right there. How can I do it? And you will find eventually you will answer your own self. You can do it. Right? And that's where we need to be. How can I do it? Not if I can do it, how can I do it? And I think that will answer a lot of our problems. It will help us go further. That's how we can move forward, Erin. How can I do it?
Yes. How can I do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Erin, do you have a final word for us on tonight?
Yeah, just thank you for all the listening and these wonderful women that I've had the privilege to be with in this circle tonight. I'm so grateful. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Dr. Marie. I appreciate you so much for being here with us on tonight. Love Bay, if you want to catch up on previous episodes of our program, you can visit our YouTube channel, Suffering in Silence DV. Thank you so much again for joining Suffering in Silence with Pastor Tia on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're here with you every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Dr. Marie, your program, The Marriage Hour, is that Sunday?
Every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Sunday at 3 p.m. You can be with Dr. Marie for The Marriage Hour. But Love Bay, we are continuing to rise out of the ashes together. And we pray that you are going through your healing process, that you will find your purpose, and that you will be where you desire to be in your life. We're rising out of the ashes together, Love Bay. Good evening.